We have already defined the model for our post table, and this is how the table is going to exist. We have the C# class that is defining two properties, each of which is going to be a table once it is inserted into the database. But we mentioned that right now there's no way SQLite knows which of these is going to be the primary key. In fact, if we try to insert this, it wouldn't have a primary key. So we have to establish it. We need a primary key, for example, to be able to update or delete or read a specific element from inside of the table. And to be able to use this, all we have to do is start using SQL attributes. And we can define attributes with square brackets right before the definition of a property. And what we want in this case is set the primary key to be the ID property. Now at the beginning, of course, primary key is not something that this file recognizes. We can try to solve this by typing Ctrl- or Alt-Enter on our keyboard and select to add a using directive to the SQLite namespace. And just like this, we have set the ID to be the primary key of this table. We also want to set the ID to auto increment. So all we have to do is write comma and select auto increment. So every time we insert a new element into this database, the ID is going to increment. So if the previous entry was number 1, the next entry once we insert into the database is going to be number 2. There are some other SQLite attributes that we can use. One of the most common is the max length. For example, if we want the experience to have a maximum length, we can establish its attribute as max length and in parentheses set the value. In this case, for example, we could set it to 250. So if we wanted to insert a value that has an experience with a length of 251, this will return an error and the item will not be inserted into the database. So this is how you define SQLite attributes into the properties of a class. We have defined the ID property to be the primary key and to auto increment, and we have defined the experience property to have a maximum length when it is being inserted into the table. Now our model is entirely ready to be used. In the next lecture, we're going to use it to create new objects that are going to be inserted into the database. And for this, we're also going to need to modify our interface a little bit and start coding the functionality of one of the pages that we have added before to this Submarine Forms application.